How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Michael Saylor just literally laughed at a Bloomberg host straight to his face. Usually you don't see a lot of emotion coming from Michael Saylor, but he literally couldn't stop himself from laughing at one of the questions. He said that it's essentially idiotic. And then also they talked to him about, does it make sense to ever spend Bitcoin? And they also ask about buying. The other day when Bitcoin fell down to $50,000, does it make sense to buy? Like, were they buying? And he explained that as well. He goes through his thoughts on the market right now. This is from 2 days ago, but I think it's really good information. And I know some people don't like Michael Saylor, right? They think he's too bullish. I don't think so. I think he, maybe he is a bit bullish at times, a little bit too bullish in terms of price action. But I think his thoughts on Bitcoin are very correct a lot of the time, and he's made a lot of money. So I think we should pay attention to him. If you want to trade crypto, there is a link underneath the video to Margex where you can start trading in just a few seconds. You can sign up. Even if you want to just sign up, have the account ready just in case there's some big piece of news or volatility or something, you can get everything set up, deposit on there in just a few seconds, and it's really easy. But make sure you understand what leverage trading actually is. Now let's get into the clip.
Level. I do understand that MicroStrategy acquired an additional 169 Bitcoin for just over $11 million in July. But when you see that dip below 50,000, do you dive right in, and to what degree?
We're always buying Bitcoin quarter by quarter by quarter. It's a long-term strategy. But the most important point for people to understand is that Bitcoin volatility is a feature. It's not a bug. The volatility creates tens of billions of dollars of credit and liquidity at all times, everywhere, to everyone in the world in the short term. But over the long term, that volatility is driving superior asset performance and durability. So it's volatile because it's functional. The other markets are all closed and they're crippled by the physics and the politics of the asset.
Isn't it a problem when a store of value, if someone wants to use Bitcoin as a store of value, can lose 10 or 20% over a couple of trading sessions?
The reason it moves is because it's functional. It's digital capital, and it's superior to physical capital or financial capital. Bitcoin's a capital investment you can hold for decades that a corporation, competitor, counterparty, or a country can't take away from you. So it'll create generational wealth for your family, your corporation, or your country. You can liquidate it at any amount, anytime, anywhere in the world, or you can hold it for any amount of time without active management or business acumen. So yeah, it's volatile, but it's so superior to every other option that you have for long-term capital management that I actually think the world is just waking up to discover this virtue.
Michael, I still feel the need to really understand the psychology of these pullbacks, because at some point it still matters the price you buy into Bitcoin at. How much are you willing to put to work when you see those dips? What types of dips do you look for when you put more money to work in it?
We look at Bitcoin as cyber Manhattan. So there's never a bad time to buy a scarce, desirable real estate in the greatest city in North America. There's never a bad time to buy Bitcoin. So we will just generally acquire it. Whenever we have cash, whenever we can raise money in the capital markets, whenever we see the opportunity. I think timing the market is almost impossible for the mere mortal. It's time in the market that matters.
Another question I have for you, too, is even beyond MicroStrategy, how do you hold Bitcoin personally? Do you have a significant personal stack in addition to what you own through MicroStrategy and a MicroStrategy stock?
Yeah, I do have significant personal Bitcoin holdings. I think about 4 years ago, I tweeted that I have 17,732 Bitcoin. I haven't sold any Bitcoin. I continue to acquire more Bitcoin. And I think it's a great capital investment asset for an individual, a family, an institution, a corporation, or a country. And I can't see a better place to put my money.
How much do you personally own today?
At least that much.
That's a lot. 17,000 is a lot. I was talking yesterday, Michael, to a young journalist, Andrew Chow. He's written a book called Cryptomania, Hype, Hope, and the Fall of FTX's billion-dollar fintech empire. he seems more convinced by Ethereum and the proof of stake method because he's so concerned about the climate and the environment. And a lot of younger people see it this way, that proof of work just takes too much power and is bad for the world. How do you respond to those concerns?
There are hundreds of thousands of investments that people can make, and I don't opine on any particular real estate, equity, or crypto investment. Bitcoin is special because it is literally the most powerful computer network in the world. It's the most powerful. It's got the most electrical power. It's got the most computer power. It's got the most economic power. It's got the most political power. The fact that it runs on 17 gigawatts or more of electricity means it's got more power than the United States Navy. That makes it nation-state resistant and nuclear hardened. So my view is if you're going to put away billions of dollars for decades, you're going to want a very powerful crypto network to defend it. And there really is no second best.
But it sounds like that much power generation is going to lead to, a higher global temperature, melting ice caps and rising seas. Like, when can it get carbon neutral?
That's a silly observation. People have been saying that for 5 years. Bitcoin's not boiling the ocean. It's like 10, 15 basis points of the world's energy usage. So it's de minimis compared to everything else. 30% of the energy in the world is wasted from some other source. So that it's just guerrilla marketing and I think largely irrelevant and debunked at this point in time.
Michael, one thing I'm wondering about is, have you spoken to former President Trump? He's been talking about this idea of what it would look like for the U.S. to have a reserve of Bitcoin. Of course, the U.S. holds some Bitcoin through Bitcoin that has been seized. But what do you think about this broader idea more largely? Have you spoken to the former president about it? I know you have.
The future is digital. There's a race to own cyberspace. And we saw an entire set of politicians waking up to this. Senator Lummis has offered the strategic Bitcoin reserve legislation, and that's our Louisiana Purchase moment. Donald Trump has said, we won't sell our Bitcoin. And that makes BTC the apex property of the United States. The only thing that the nation won't sell are its national parks, its nuclear weapons, and it's Bitcoin. I think that the conversation has shifted, and every politician in the world is starting to realize that Bitcoin's the most desirable property in cyberspace. It's the future.
Back in 2013, Michael, when Bitcoin was marching up towards 1,000, we started reporting on it for the first time, and I actually spent 2 weeks living only on Bitcoin, using it to buy gas and, beers at a bar down here and groceries at a place in Greenpoint. I bought my first one for $800, my second one for $600, and now I wish I hadn't spent them. Is there going to be a time when we actually use Bitcoin as a transactional, currency without regretting it so much later on?
I think if your grandfather owned a building in the middle of Manhattan and they sold it to buy a cup of coffee or some ice cream, you would have regretted that too.
Yeah.
Half of the wealth in the world is just long-term capital. Call it $400 or $500 trillion. People just want to keep their wealth. They want to hold their money for decades or generations. Bitcoin is capital. And if you think of it as capital, the most desirable capital in cyberspace, then the right way to consider it is the same way as if your family owned a sports team or a trophy asset or a Da Vinci painting or a building or all the land in Palm Beach. You would hold it as long as you possibly could. You would finance it, and you want to buy a cup of coffee with it, borrow some money from a bank, spend dollars, spend pesos, spend euros, but keep the most desirable property in the universe.
All right, Michael, thanks so much for joining us. Michael Saylor is...
All right, let me know what you think about that down below in the comment section. Again, that was from 2 days ago. I think that's all really good information. I love watching Michael Saylor speak. I realize that he is a perma bull. Some people don't like how bullish he is, but the fact is he's made a lot of money through buying Bitcoin. He is a really good entrepreneur even before Bitcoin. So I like to see what he has to say. Let me know your thoughts on that, though. As I said at the beginning of the video, if you want to trade crypto, there is a link to Margex underneath the video, so definitely check that out. Also, links to Bitcoin 2025 tickets that are discounted right now, and with the code MyFinancialFriend, you can get an extra 10% off. Thank you so much. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.